Hello, everyone. Welcome to Career Change. My name is Charles Theodore Monk, and I am a Tutlo tutor, and I will be your presenter today. So, for those of you who can hear me, go ahead and let me know you can, and then we can proceed to the next part of this presentation from there. So, go ahead, let me know if you can hear me, and if so, that would be great. If you cannot hear me, I will do my best fix that issue. Because let's be honest, it would make it a little difficult for you guys to understand the entire context of this presentation if you cannot hear me. So please go ahead, let me know if you can hear me, and then we can continue from there. Hello, Sarah. I see you're here. Awesome. Everyone else, I know you guys are there. Go ahead and let me know you can hear me, and then we will be able to proceed from there. So I will give about another minute and a half for everyone to come to this presentation and to let me know that you guys can be awesome. So I will give you guys a little bit of a, I should say, description on what we will be discussing in this presentation. So we're actually going to do a lot of learning today. So we are going to learn about some of the most common jobs in the world. We are going to learn also about some helpful vocabulary that talks about jobs, and we will also talk about some psychology, so some emotional, how should I say this? That would be easy to understand. Emotional changes and emotional stresses that a person might experience when they are going through career changes. All right, and we will also have some useful learning tips on how to get a job, how to deal with stress that might happen with career change, and we will also get some tips from some of the most famous business people in the world. So, why am I doing a presentation on this topic? Well, it's something that I think is something that has to be talked about. I know I may not have as much experience as a lot of people, but I will give my experience out there on career change so that you guys can understand I do know what I'm talking about. So I grew up in Canada, and the normal thing for a Canadian to do when they turn 16 is to get their first job. So that was 3 years ago for me. So I got my first job 3 years ago. I started off as a paper route boy. So I was doing the newspaper routes in my area. I know that's not an amazing job, but as a 16-year-old boy, that is something that I always looked forward to earn some money, to either go out with friends or to go enjoy myself, get myself some food or some snacks at the grocery store. And then after that, I changed careers to an actual position. I started working at a restaurant, and I worked at a restaurant as a busboy at a fine dining restaurant. And a busboy is simply someone who gets the food from the kitchen and brings them to the tables that the food are ordered from. And I did that for a little bit, and then I also changed careers again a few months later to working in the kitchen yet again. I got a job as a dishwasher while I was still in high school, and I worked at that job for about 8 months, and then I eventually got promoted to a cook. So I eventually changed careers again and started working as a cook in that restaurant. So I do have and actually after that I changed careers again to Tulo, and I am so happy that I made that career change because I genuinely love this job. So that gives a little bit of a understanding on my experience on the topic of career change. And there are so many factors people have to think about when changing careers. And I thought I would bring my opinion as well as Tutlo's opinion on some tips, some ideas, and some effects of changing careers in a person's life. So now we are going to get started with this presentation. We are going to go on for about a half hour, and I will do my best to get you guys out of here at that 30-minute mark because I do want to be mindful of your time. But I am so grateful for each and every one of you who came into this presentation today. So, like I said, we're going to go on for about a half hour today. If you guys have any questions regarding this topic, please save those till the end, and I will do my best to answer your questions during the Q&A section of this presentation. Also, if I have any questions I ask that you guys would like to answer, go ahead and put that in the chat. It will get a little bit of a good involvement, a good atmosphere for everyone here to get involved. All right, so like I said, we're gonna ask this main question that probably relates to everyone around the world. All right, so I would appreciate you guys' feedback with this question. What are the most common jobs in your country? So in the country that you live in, what are some of the most common jobs? So when I lived in Canada, one of the most common jobs in that country was working in retail sales. So being a salesperson, whether that's in a store or in a company, that was one of the most common jobs for anyone to do, was to be a salesperson. And now here, since I transitioned to the Philippines, for those of you who know, I moved to the Philippines recently, and I have began to see it that one of the most common and sought after jobs is call center work. So working at a call center, because you get good pay and you get benefits to work in that job. So that is probably one of the more common jobs here in the Philippines. I like that answer, a full-time job. That is true. That is a very common type of job. All right, Anna asked a question. Career change has been a good experience for you. Yes, I believe that my career change has been a good experience. Like I said, please save questions to the end, but I'll answer this one question 'cause it's here already. Yes, career change has been a good experience for me as a young man growing up. It's been let's say, memorable for the rest of my life, learning the different careers I've been into and all that. So yes, I would say career change has been a good experience for me, Anna. Thank you. Good question. All right, I see a couple other jobs coming in. I see that. I thank you for getting involved. So now I'm going to break down some of the most common jobs per country, per area. So in the United States and in Australia, the most common job in those countries are part-time retail salespersons. So these are going to be your young people. These are going to be people in college and people getting out of college right away, would be the three biggest types of people working in retail sales in the United States and Australia. There is such a big market for sales in these two countries, which makes the job opportunities a lot easier for certain people. All right, in the UK, software development is actually becoming the most common job in the United Kingdom, which is very interesting. So the UK is actually in a time of transition where software development is on the rise and is probably going to be one of the most common jobs in that country. And then in Chile, oh, you might be asking, where is Chile? Chile is in South America, and there are three most common jobs there that people would like to strive for with their education. The first type of job is a journalist. So a journalist is obviously a person who writes down either news, events, or things happening in the world. Then you have a psychologist, sorry, bad pronunciation on my part, a psychologist. And a psychologist is simply a person who does their studies on how a person thinks. And the third type of job that is the most common in Chile is architects, so people making buildings and those kinds of things. So you may be asking, why do I need to know some of this information? Well, it's simply to get your mind thinking and understanding of how jobs are different in other countries, all right? And in China, the biggest career in China is the manufacturing industry. So manufacturing of goods is the most popular job or most popular career area in China. In Kenya, which is a country in Africa, United Nations worker is the most common job or the most sought after job in that country, which is very interesting because you're not really going to hear that in a lot of countries where kids would grow up saying, I want to work for the United Nations. But people in Kenya do, and because it gives good pay, good benefits, and some safety protection in their country. And in India, the most common and popular job is IT. So IT software, IT development, anything to do with IT is what is the most popular and sought after job in the country of India. So we just discussed about 6 different countries on what the most popular jobs are in those areas. So that's some good useful information for you guys to understand just how different jobs are based on where you live. What do people want to do is really affected by the culture that you grow up in. So now, let's take a look at some vocabulary related to careers. So the first word is a big word. It's the word prestigious. Prestigious means high status. Now, a lot of people who work in business, a lot of people who work high-end jobs are considered prestigious, right? They are considered a high status group of people. And now, number two, well paid, good salary and benefits. Everyone wants a well paid job. Everyone wants a good salary and benefits. So it's always good to seek after a well paid job and become a well paid person. The career ladder. Now, this is a very useful word, or a very useful phrase, I should say, when it comes to talking about careers. The career ladder simply means job promotion within your company. So, for example, if you work in an office, you can start off as someone that works part-time, and then your job promotion would be the next, the career ladder would be become a full-time staff member, and then a manager, and then a regional manager, right? Job promotions are the career ladder. So sometimes it's always good to strive after getting up the career ladder to benefit your life, right? To get a higher salary, better benefits, more experience in life, right? Sometimes it's not always about the money, it's about the experience, because money can go away, but experience will stay with you forever. All right, and number four, vocabulary term number four is a workaholic. Workaholic is simply someone who works a lot. So that brings the question, are you a workaholic? Am I a workaholic? I would say yes. I do work a lot, but I also do enjoy my life. So I have a time set aside for work and a time set aside to enjoy my life. Because frankly, like I said before, sometimes it's not always about the money, but it's about the experience and the amount of enjoyment you get out of life. So those are four terms. Now we're going to move on to more terms. Three more terms that are probably super interesting to think about. So term or phrase number one, dead end job. So a dead end job is a job with little or no chance of career development. So it means there is no chance to move up the career ladder because there are simply no better jobs within your career or within your company. So it means it's considered a dead end job. So for example, I'll give you an example of a dead end job. A dead end job would be where you go get a job and there are no chances of promotion. There are no chances of benefiting your salary, your benefits, because there is simply no opportunities for that. And that is a job that a lot of people do not want to strive for. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you do have to do what you have to do when you are struggling financially. That is perfectly okay to work a dead end job. But depending on your situation, if you want to have goals, if you want to have things to strive for, and you are able to provide for yourself or for your family, a dead end job would be something you'd want to switch out of. But like I said, if you need money, if you need to pay the bills, if you need to get a better a house, you pay off your house, your car, whatever it is perfectly okay to work a dead end job. But don't be satisfied with working a dead end job. You want to strive to have the best life possible, right? You want to strive to have the best experiences, the best life you can. And a dead end job sadly will not take you there because there is just no chances of developing your career. All right, now vocabulary term number two, to moonlight. So to moonlight means to have a second job. So it's called to moonlight because typically you work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in most countries. So you mean to moonlight, which means you work from 9 to 5, and then you also work at night. And at night there's the moon, right? So to moonlight means to have a second job or a second career on the side to bring in some extra money. Like I said before, it is perfectly okay to work a dead end job if you need to. It's totally okay to work a second job to have to moonlight, and that's okay. To moonlight doesn't mean you are struggling financially. To moonlight sometimes means you have goals you want to achieve, and it's perfectly okay to do that. And don't be ashamed if you're working a dead-end job, and don't be ashamed if you have to have a second job to pay your bills. It shows that you are working hard, and it shows your character. So there's always some positive things to think about. All right. And last topic we're going to talk about today is success. Success means to achieve something you want to do. So like I said, set your goals, try to live the best life you can, and enjoy your life and get some success. Achieve something you want to do. So now we've talked about some vocabulary terms, and we're going to move on to the next part of this presentation. But always try to remember these terms because they will bring up some very useful conversation topics, or even just some good vocabulary for your vocabulary arsenal. So as soon as that slide pops up, we will move on to the next topic in this presentation. So that brings up the question to ask: your career. What is your career? Do you enjoy your career? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. All right, so now we're going to talk about the psychology on career change. So the understanding in your brain and how it affects your emotions when it comes to career change. So number one, career change is shown to have one of the most emotional strains or emotional stress to someone in their life. There are two areas it will affect. Career change will affect yourself, and it will affect your friends and your family. What I mean by friends and family is you affect the people around you, right? You are going to affect them either in a positive and negative way. So how you handle your emotional strain during a career change will affect how other people around you will behave, and how they will act, and how they will perceive on life. So psychology is known to have some big emotional strain when you are changing careers, either if you don't have a job or if you are changing jobs. Just because those are not normal and you're not used to them, there will be some emotional strain on you and on the people around you. And a big psychology strain starts with the baby boomers. So baby boomers are people who were born just after World War II, around the 1960s. And the reason that I put them up here is because they have one of the most emotionally hard times when it comes to career changes at this time in their lives, because they are getting there up. They've experienced a lot in life. They are getting a little bit older, and sometimes it is hard for someone who is already lived a lot of their life to start over and to change careers. So if you are a baby boomer, it is sometimes hard to change careers, but it is not the end of the world if you change careers, right? It's all about how you perceive it and how you adjust to changing your careers, right? It's a lot easier for someone who is younger and not as much responsibilities to simply change careers, because simply they are still young. They have a lot of time in life to change their career. But for older people, it is a little more emotionally stressful and more difficult for them to change careers. Now, we're going to talk about some useful tips on how to find a job. Tip number one: know yourself. Know who you are, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. For example, you are not good at math, but you apply for a job at accounting or something to do with numbers. Do you think that is probably the smartest idea for you? I don't think so, because you have to know yourself, right? Number two, create a good resume or CV, whatever you like to call it, based on where you live. That is one of the most important things it is when it comes to creating a job or to find a good job. Have a good resume and CV, because it's one of the first things an employer will notice about you. They will notice probably three things from your resume: how neat you are, your experience in life, and how to take you seriously or not, right? Because they're going to know a little more about you. They're going to know if you have experience, what your experience and qualifications are. They're going to know if you are serious about this job because of the neatness and the effort you put into making a good resume. All right, number three, stay searching. If you are able to pay your bills and still live comfortably but want to get a different kind of job and a different career, stay searching and be open, right? Do not get so tunnel visioned into something. Also, if you need a job, be open to change, right? Sometimes you have to change careers or do something different in order to pay your bills, in order to live a comfortable lifestyle. So be open. Never think you are too proud or too prestigious to work a certain job where you will stress yourself out financially, because you will not swallow your pride and work a job that you think is quote unquote beneath you, right? It's okay to work a job to pay your bills, right? You do not want to have to be struggling financially to pay your bills. Carol, I see in the chat you said you just started a new job and this is the reason why you use Tutlo. Well, let me say this. Welcome to the Tutlo family. We want to help you benefit from this opportunity here through this English platform. Also, Joanna, you too. Um, my resources are open to you if you wish ask any questions later on. I will be more than willing to answer for you. But welcome to the Tutlo family. I hope you guys enjoy your stay here with the presentations and with the lessons. And I hope you guys will learn a lot from your um, efforts put into this program. So now, let me get back to this presentation. Now we're going to talk about job stress. Job stress. Everyone has job stress. Even if you're working your dream job or the most perfect job, you will have some stress when it comes to your life. Now, job loss is probably the biggest area of job stress because one, you have to pay your bills, especially when you are maybe living on your own, you don't live with family or with friends. You have to pay for your own bills, and that leads to a lot of self esteem and security issues because you are sometimes, like I said before, if you think you are too proud to do something or you think something is beneath you, your self esteem will be rocked crazy when you lose your job. I'm not saying you're going to lose your job, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying if you guys lose a job or if someone does lose their job and they think they are too prestigious to work another job or to work in a different career, your self esteem will really be changed by job loss. And it will also affect your security. So, your financial security, your relationship security, your responsibility security, right? So, for example, you are a father or a mother, you have responsibilities. You got to take care of your kids, you got to pay the bills. And losing a job will affect you, how secure you feel about yourself, which will also affect your self esteem. Think about that. That is an interesting topic to think about for sure. And job stress can also make you live an unhappy life. You will be very disappointed. You will very be displeased in life. You will not enjoy life if you let stress control you. It's also very, very important to talk about your mindset. So your mindset is basically how you perceive the way things are going for you, right? Your mindset is what controls how you act. It is what controls how you behave, right? Your job stress can be affected greatly if you have a negative mindset, right? Try to have a positive mindset no matter what situation you may be in. Do your best to have a positive mindset because there's a quote, think of the glass as half full, not as half empty. So do your best. Sometimes it is hard to have to deal with stress and job loss, but it's always possible to increase the way you perceive life. Now, we're going to talk about three big areas and three big tips you can use about when you're talking about tips for stress. Tip number one is to simply adjust. Adjust to your new way of life. Adjust to the way you're living and be okay with it. Don't be frustrated with yourself. Don't get so annoyed with yourself and don't beat yourself up about having to get maybe a new job or maybe have to deal with the stress at your job. Adjust to it, accept it, and do your best in that situation. Do not complain because complaining and comparing yourself to others will only create more stress in your life. It will not make you better. It will more than likely just make it worse. All right, tip number two is a mindset of temporary. Think of stress as temporary. Do not think of stress or this area of stress as it's always going to be there, because it simply won't. This stress or the situation that is causing the stress is only temporary. So anytime you are stressing out, anytime you are annoyed, just think of it, this is only temporary, and you can go on with your life from there. All right. And tip number 3 for stress is simply to reach out. Reach out to people. Have people in your life you can reach out to. Talk to them. What's stressing you out? Talk to them and get that off your heart. Get that off your mind so that you can get rid of that stress. One of the most important things in life is to have people you can talk to, have friends you can talk to, have family you can talk to. Because if you don't, you're going to bottle up your emotions, and you simply will not be able to release that stress that you are carrying around in your life. So remember to reach out, and do not be too proud to reach out. That is such an emphasis when it comes to stress, when it comes to career changes. Do not be so proud to the point where you think you can do everything on your own, because you simply can't. You need people in your life to succeed. You need people in your life to help you get some success, right? Success is achieving something, achieving a goal. Reach out, have people in your life you can talk to. That is one of the biggest stress reliefs a person can have in their life. Because, like I said, we are not made to do life on our own. We are made to do life with a community. We are made to do life with friends, with family, with people. That's the reason there's more than just one person on this earth, so that we can have community with other people. So that wraps up all the information we're going to learn in this presentation. But if you guys do want to go and practice some of the vocabulary you learned today, or some of the information you learned today, go ahead and copy the link to this Quizlet page. It's actually based on the career change lesson in the Tutlo platform. This way you can review some of the vocabulary used and some of the terms used in this presentation. Also, if you want to discuss this further, go ahead and do that through the Tutlo platform. Get a tutor, whether that's me or someone else, and talk about intermediate general English lesson number 66. This way you can practice some of the phrases you've learned, some of the vocabulary you learned, right? All right, please paste it here. So, 1 second. Let me try to figure out how I can paste it here. So I can actually not copy this link. I do apologize that I will save that for next time. But you can search up on your Google on your tab, Intermediate General English Lesson 66, Career Change. Carol, I apologize. I should have that link, and I sadly don't. I will have that in the future, though. That is something I will work on. Thank you for bringing that up. So simply just search into your search bar, Intermediate General English Lesson number 66, Career Change. It will pop up there, and you can review it from there. But also, just remember, intermediate. Yes, exactly, Carol. You have it in the platform. Thank you very much for understanding. All right. So this brings us to the Q&A section of this presentation. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and let me know, and I will do my best to answer your questions. All right. So Anna, you said a temporary mindset. To explain it in what context? All right. So a temporary mindset is always important to have when you are talking about, how should I say this? Temporary mindset is important to have when you are dealing with stress in your life. Acknowledge the fact that you have that situation in your life, but think of that problem in your life as only temporary. That problem is not going to be with you forever if you deal with that issue. So think of that as temporary, and think of stress in your life also. That is only temporary. It's not always going to be with you. You're not always going to have to deal with it in your life. And at least with that certain situation, right? Do not dwell on the negatives in your life. Only think of the negatives in your life as temporary, and have a more positive mindset. All right. I hope that answers your question. Let me know. And if not, I will give another answer to that question. But for now, I do have a couple polls to throw up. And this will kind of help me get an understanding on what you thought of this presentation. Was it useful? Did you enjoy it? Right. So go ahead. It should pop up on your screen. Give Give me 1 second. It should pop up on your screen within the next few seconds. And there we go. All right, so go ahead and fill out that poll and kind of helps me understand, did you guys enjoy it? What did you think of this presentation? Was it useful? All right, thank you for filling out that poll. Now, I will throw up one more poll. Simply just ask the question, would you like to participate in webinars in the future? Go ahead and answer that, and it will just help me understand if you guys enjoyed this, right? That's the whole point. Did you enjoy this? Did you learn something from it? Go ahead and fill that out, and I appreciate that a lot. So it should be up on your screen. Go ahead and fill that out, and then we will move on to the end of this presentation. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for coming into this presentation. I appreciate it. I did put a lot of work into it, and I hope you guys could see that, and I hope you learned something. That's the whole point of these presentations. I do genuinely hope you learned something. All right, so thank you so much for filling out that poll. And now, but remember, before we go, remember to follow Tutlo on Facebook, LinkedIn, subscribe to the YouTube channel. The slide should pop up in a little bit. Keep in touch with the English community. It will give you that extra boost to learn English and to want to learn English. So until next time, my name is Charles Theodore Monk. I am a Tutlo tutor, and it was an absolute pleasure to do this presentation with you guys. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys had a good takeaway from this presentation. And I hope I get to see you guys again at another presentation or through a lesson on the Tutlo platform. So everyone, thank you so much for coming into this presentation. Take care, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Goodbye.